Okay, in the Red Math 1 book, page 122, numbers 22 through 27, it says solve the equation without graphing. Now typically, well, what we had shown you in the last couple of days, hopefully, is how to solve this by graphing. And basically what you would do is you would graph this quadratic, then you would graph the line y equals 16, which is a horizontal line. And what you do is you see where this one would cross that horizontal line. So you would eventually, here, let me just do a sketch of it. You basically get a picture of some parabola like this, crossing at y equals 16. And you would see that there are two solutions. Okay, so that's just a sketch. Don't even know if it's halfway accurate, but I do know that that it would hit it at 2 points, possibly at 1 point sometimes, but not in this particular case probably. Okay, so anyways, it says to solve without graphing though. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this a quadratic equal to 0, and then we're going to use the zero product property. And I know that I've shown this property in some of my previous videos, but I will flip to it and show you again. The zero product property just says if a times b equals 0, then one of those, either a or b, is 0. So if I can write it out as factors like this, then I just set each factor equal to 0 and I solve. Okay, so essentially, here's all I'm going to do is subtract 16 on both sides. And then I have 9 minus 16. I get negative 7, so x squared plus 6x minus 7 equals 0. Alright, so now what you're going to ask yourself is what multiplies up to negative 7 adds up to positive 6, and you're going to write those factors here. I don't want to do it too quickly because I do want you to be able to sort of think about those factors. But I'm thinking 7 and 1. Let's see, 7 and 1 would make positive 8. So it's not 7 and 1, but it's some kind of variation. Maybe it's positive 7 and negative 1. Maybe that'll work. Positive 7 and negative 1. Does 7 times negative 1 equal negative 7? Yes. How about 7 plus negative 1? It equals positive 6. So there we are. We're almost finished. Remember the zero product property. I'm going to show it again. If you have two things multiplied by each other, two factors multiplied by each other equals 0, just set each one of those factors equal to 0. So here, x plus 7 equals 0. X minus 1 equals 0. Now what we're going to do is subtract 7 from both sides. X equals negative 7. Add 1 to both sides. X equals 1. So those are my two solutions. I'm going to mark that by circling it. So here's what we found out, is that negative 7 comma 16 is where it crosses here, and also positive 1 comma 16. And like I said, my picture isn't all that accurate, but this is what you would see. Negative 7 comma 16 and 1 comma 16, you would have these 2 points. Okay? So anyway, here's number 26. It says solve without graphing. So I'm going to add 27 to both sides, and my whole point of doing that is to get this equal to 0. So negative 3x squared plus 6x plus 24 equals 0. And like I've always said, I do not like that negative sign out front. So what I'm going to do is divide both sides of the equation by negative 1. That gives me positive 3x squared minus 6x minus 24 equals 0. And now I also don't care for the 3 out front, and a lot of people just scream Lizzie method, but that's not what you want to do first. First thing you want to scream is greatest common factor. So greatest common factor, we're going to divide all 3 of these terms by 3. Okay, this gives me, I'm going to write some of the work over here, x squared minus 2x minus 3 goes into 24 as well. So when you divide, you're dividing each one of these terms by 3. So 3 goes into 24 8 times equals 0. And now what you want to do is ask yourself, what multiplies up to negative 8 adds up to negative 2? People think 4 and 2. Most of the time. People are automatically there. You're very quick with it. Let's see. Negative 4 and positive 2. So see, negative 4 plus 2 is going to be this guy right here. Okay? So negative 4 and positive 2. And then you set each factor equal to 0 by the zero product property. Add 4 to both sides. Get x equals 4. Subtract 2 from both sides. X equals negative 2. Those are your 2 answers. Hope that helps. Here's number 27. 27 has a fraction up front, and that might just really throw you off. Just don't even start there, though. You want, since it's a quadratic, you want it equal to 0. So let's subtract 8. 1/2 x squared plus 4x, and this cancels. So it equals 0. That's a good thing. Okay? Now, I've told you guys this before. You might not have remembered it, or you might not have seen those videos, but if you have a denominator, if you have some kind of fraction and you just don't like it, you can multiply by the denominator. But you have to multiply everything by the denominator. So I'm going to put this in parentheses, I'm going to put this in parentheses. I'm multiplying by 2, and I would like to use a different color. So I'm going to multiply by 2 on both sides. Alright? When I multiply by 2 on the left side, that means I have to distribute it in here. Okay? So that gives me x squared plus 8x equals 0 times 2 is 0. So that's a little bit better. I think that's not quite as hard. And you can either solve this by, well, there's only one way to solve this really. And what you're going to do is take a GCF, greatest common factor. People sometimes accidentally say divide by x because that is what we do with numbers. Like, for example, on exercise 26, there was a number out front, so we divided that greatest common factor because a 3 was going into all of those. Well, here the greatest common factor is x, so you'd assume to divide by x, but really you don't want to do that. What you want to do is write it like this. And it would have been accurate for me to write it like this in the previous question. In other words, I could have just written a 3 out front and written 3 parentheses x squared minus 2x minus 8. But in any case, here's what I'm going to write for this one. And what you're going to do is see that this is a product, so you can use the zero product property. X equals 0 and x plus 8 equals 0. Subtract 8, x equals negative 8. So there you have it, 0 and negative 8. Okay, well, I hope that helps you out. That's the last problem in that in those selected exercises. So please comment on these videos if you need to see other examples, or if there's something that I'm doing that's confusing you. Just let me know, and hopefully I can help you guys out. All right, take care.